Hi everyone, this is Reema, your biology educator from VLearning. So as you know that VLearning is an online educational platform where we strive to provide quality education for all. So to get all the benefits from our channel, do subscribe to it if you have not subscribed, and also don't forget to visit our website, that is www.v-learning.in, where you will be getting all the pre-recorded videos, animated videos, the live class, and also the PDF notes of all this topic. So let's begin today's session. So in this session we are going to start with a new chapter, that is chapter number 8. So in our last class we have completed your chapter number 7, right, where you have learned about the structural organization in animals. So you have learned about tissues, isn't it? So in this chapter what you are going to learn? Any guesses? Yes. So you know that we all living, that is what makes the difference between the living and the non-living organisms. You see various living organisms around us, isn't it? So what makes the difference between the living and the non-living difference? The non-living organism. So what is the basic difference? The basic difference is nothing but the presence of what? The presence of cells, isn't it? So in the last chapter where you have learned about the tissues, you know that animals are made up of different types of tissues. So how the tissues are being formed? Tissues are being formed from the cells only, isn't it? So in this session we are going to start with a new chapter, that is the cell. Okay, that is the cell, which is the basic structural and the functional unit of all living organisms. So any living organisms, okay, it is made up of cell. It may be one cell or it may be more than one cell. So we can classify the organisms as like unicellular and multicellular, isn't it? So there are some organisms which are made up of only one cell, isn't it? So that is single cell. And there are some organisms, they are made up of more than one cells, right? They are multicellular organism. So the chapter number 8 is cell, the unit of life, where you will be learning about the overview of the cell, then that is who has discovered the cell, then what are the various cell organelles present inside the cell. Like inside our body we have different organs, isn't it? So inside the cell also they have different cell organelles. So these cell organelles are responsible for performing again different functions inside the cell. Each and every cell organism plays an individual role. And also you will be learning about the chromosomes, DNA, which is the nucleic acid, right? So all these things you will be learning under this chapter, that is cell. So in today's class you will be looking into the overview of cell. So we'll be looking into the overview of the cell, that is what is cell, then who has discovered cell, then who has observed the living cell, dead cell, what are the different types of organisms based on the cell, then what are the types of cells we'll see, that is the prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell. And also we will be learning about the plant cell and the animal cell, and this is your lecture number 1. So let's begin today's session. Yes. Yeah. So first thing, what you should know that what is cell, right? So you have been studying this cell from your lower classes. So by now you know that what is cell, right? So what is cell? Yes, cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. If you write only structural and you don't write functional, then it is not correct. You have to write that it is the basic structural and functional unit of life. Okay, so it is the basic structural and functional unit of life. So as I said that all living organisms, it can be bacteria, it can be like microorganisms, right? That is bacteria. Then the plants, the animals, then we human beings, we all are made up of cells. That is, we human beings are made up of millions and millions of cells. So these cells are responsible for performing specific functions in our body. We have millions and trillions of cells inside our body. So all organisms are composed of cells. As you can see that some are single cell and they are called as unicellular organisms. So there are some organisms, they are made up of only one cell, okay? That is your bacteria, okay? That is your bacteria, amoeba, protista, they are all made up of only one cell. Like we have many cells in our body, right? But they have only one cell. So what we call them? We call them as unicellular organism. Uni means what? One. So they have got single cell, right? So they are called as unicellular organisms. So organisms can be divided into two types, that is unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms, based on the presence of cells. So those organisms, they are having only one cell. That is, with the help of this only single cells, they are going to perform the respiration, circulation, excretion, right? Everything takes place with the help of the single cell. And also they have got only single chromosome, okay? They have only one chromosome. While others, like us, like all human beings, plants, animals, we have more than one cells, right? So when anything more than once means what we call that? Yes, they are multicellular organisms, right? So anything, the organisms which are having more than one cell or many cells, we call it as multicellular organisms. So as you can see in this picture, this is a picture of the cell which is showing the various cell organelles. So inside the cell, what we'll find inside the cell, we will find the cell organelles. Now, in the cell, there are many cell organelles like the nucleus, then the endoplasmic reticulum, then the ribosomes, mitochondria, Golgi bodies. These are what? These are all the cell organelles which we'll find inside the cell. So when we look into the cell, first thing we will see the outer layer. Okay, so some cells are having the cell wall, whereas some cells that they do not have the cell wall. That is, some organisms, they have got cell, and in the cell is covered with a cell wall. That is the plant cell, or in case of the bacteria, they have got cell wall, okay? Whereas in case of animals, in case of human beings, we do not have cell wall, okay? That is, we are eukaryotic organisms, whereas in case of the prokaryotic organism, they have got cell wall. So as you can see in the cell, you will see the plasma membrane. You will find the plasma membrane. Then what is this? This is the nucleus, okay? This is nucleus. Then you will find the cell organelle, that is the mitochondria. You will find out mitochondria. Then you will see the various inclusion bodies, okay? The inclusion bodies, and these are the ribosomes. You will see ribosomes also. Alright. Then these are what? These are the endoplasmic reticulum. These are written as ER, that is endoplasmic reticulum. And what is this? This is the Golgi bodies, right? These are the Golgi bodies. And you will also find the lysosome, okay? Lysosome is single membrane. So you will find lysosome, right? So all these cell organelles, where they are present inside the cell, and where they lies in the cytoplasm. So you can see the matrix where the cell organelles are present, right? So that matrix is known as what? That matrix is known as cytoplasm. All right. So what is this cytoplasm? Cytoplasm is nothing but a fluid matrix where all the cell organelles are lying, right? So basically it's a connection, okay? It's a connection which helps in providing nutrition, okay? So this cytoplasm also helps in providing nutrition to all the cell organelles. So this is all about the cell. Yes. So as I said that the organisms can be classified into two types, right? The unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. So unicellular means what? They are having only single cell, right? So they have only one cell that carries out all the functions needed by the organisms. And the unicellular organisms include the bacteria, then protists and yeast, right? And also it includes amoeba too. Okay, so you have been studying about the amoeba from the lower classes, right? So how it looks like, something like this, amoeba, right? And it has got nucleus, isn't it? So it has nucleus. So when the amoeba divides, okay, so how the reproduction takes place in case of unicellular organisms? The unicellular organisms reproduce by this binary fission, okay, or by the budding. So there are various types of asexual reproduction again. So they basically follow the asexual mode of reproduction. So they follow the asexual mode of reproduction, all right? So they follow the asexual mode of reproduction. So what happens in case of asexual mode of reproduction? Only one parent is involved in that, okay? There is no fusion of gametes. So only one parent, that is single parent is involved, and there is no fusion of gamete taking place in case of this asexual reproduction. So it takes place where? It takes place in case of unicellular organisms, right? So see, this is a parent body, right? So this is the parent. This is the parent. So when it divides, so it will start dividing, right? So it will start dividing in order to form the daughter cells, okay? So in order to form the daughter cells, and it follows what? It follows the binary fission. It follows what? It follows the binary fission for cell division. So when it divides by dividing the cytoplasm. As you can see, this area, okay, this is the cytoplasm, right? So it divides the cytoplasm as well as the nucleus too. So division of the cytoplasm and division of the nucleus takes place. So yes, like this, it will be dividing. Right, so this is the nucleus. Yes, so the nucleus divides and the daughter cells are being formed. So the two daughter cells here, it is formed. As you can see, these cells are known as what? These cells are known as the daughter cells, right? So these are the daughter cell. All right. Now this daughter cell, again, it has the capacity to divide. So they multiply at a very faster rate. Okay, the multiplication is very faster in case of the unicellular organisms or the prokaryotic organism. They multiply at a very faster rate. For example, bacteria, okay, so they can multiply rapidly at a very faster rate. Is that clear? So yes, next, yeah, division of labor is absent. What do you mean by this division of labor? Means in their body they have only one cell, right? So the single cell is responsible for performing all the activities in the body, right? So there is no division of work in the unicellular organisms. Is that clear? So division of labor is absent in case of the unicellular organisms. Yeah, talking about the multicellular organisms, now you know that multicellular organisms are what? Yes, they are having more than one cells, right? So they are having more than one cell, which that is with group of cells differentiate into the specialized functions. So they are having more than one cell, and each and every cell has got specialized functions in the body. Like in your body, you will be having the nerve cell, you will be having muscle cell, isn't it? So you will be having again the epithelial cells, right? Connective tissues. So these are what? Blood cells. These are the special cells for the special function. Like the muscle cell, it is responsible for your locomotion, flexibility, movement, movement. Then the nervous or the nerve cell, what it does, it is responsible for your control and coordination, isn't it? So it has got different functions. So each and every cell in the body has got specialized function. Is that clear? So in our body we have different cells. As you can see, it is written here that nerve cell, skin cells, muscle cells, blood cells, and many other types of cells you will see in the human body. Epithelial cells, right? And they have got special function. So multicellular organisms are who? Yes, multicellular organisms are human beings. We human beings are multicellular organisms. Our body is made up of trillions of cells, okay? We cannot count the cell. It is trillions, okay? It is made up of many cells. So plants, animals, human beings, all are multicellular organisms, and the division of labor is present. So division of labor means we have got blood cell, right? So the blood cell is responsible for what? It is responsible for transportation of nutrients, transportation of food, isn't it? So it is connecting the cells to each other. Like we have got the nerve cell. So nerve cell is again responsible for control and coordination in the body. So see, they have got different functions or not. So there is division of labor, division of work present in case of the multicellular organisms. So is that clear? This is the basic difference between the unicellular and the multicellular organisms. Yeah. Now, yes. So let's talk about the discovery of the cell. Now you know that there are two types of organism, that is the unicellular and the multicellular organism, right? Now let's talk about the discovery of cell. Who has discovered the cell? You know about cell, but how it was discovered? The first person to discover the cell was who? It was, you have been studying it from the lower class. Who has discovered the cell? Yes, it was discovered by Robert Hooke, right? It was discovered by Robert Hooke. In which year he has discovered the cell? It was discovered in the year, that is 1665. So he has discovered the cell in the year 1665. But the scientist, he has seen the dead cells, okay? He was not able to see the living cells. So what type of cells he has seen? He has seen the dead cells, okay? Because he was not having a proper microscope to see the cells clearly. So he observed the dead cells. Now, how he observed the dead cells? What he has observed? He has observed the bark of the tree. Okay, he has taken the bark of the tree, and he has observed that there are little chambers, and in that chambers he has observed some dots. Okay, so he called those chambers as little chambers. What he called those chambers? As little chambers. So he said that the organisms are made up of some cells, okay, and he was able to find out only the dead cell, that is the plant cell, right? The plant cells are dead cells, most of the plant cells. So bark is a dead cell. So he has observed the dead cell. But there was another scientist, his name is Anton von Leeuwenhoek, okay? Anton von Leeuwenhoek was the first person to observe the living cell, all right? But the cell was discovered first by this person, okay? He is the first person to discover the cell, that is Robert Hooke, in the year 1665. But this Anton von Leeuwenhoek, he was the first person to see the living cell, okay? He has seen the living cell, that is, he has seen the RBC cells, okay, and the animal cells. So he has seen what? He has seen the plant cells, which are dead cells, right? He has seen the plant cells. He could not see the animal cells because he was not having a well-developed microscope. So Anton von Leeuwenhoek, he has seen the RBC cells, which is the animal cell, and these are the living cell. Clear? So he was the first person to see the live cell. So later on, what happens? Later on, there was another scientist known as Robert Brown. Okay, Robert Brown was who? He's the first person who has discovered the nucleus inside the cell. So inside the cell, there is a organelle which is known as nucleus. So this is also called as the brain of the cell. You know why it is called the brain of the cell? Because it is responsible for controlling all the activities of the cell. Like inside the nucleus only, inside the nucleus, what is present inside the nucleus? That is the DNA. Alright, the DNA is present inside the nucleus. So the DNA is present inside the nucleus, right? So in the DNA, what is present? In the DNA, the chromosomes are present. Clear? So what is present inside the DNA? In the DNA, chromosomes are present, and in the chromosomes, the genes are present. Is that clear? So nucleus contains what? Nucleus contains the DNA. It contains what? It contains the DNA, which is the deoxyribonucleic acid. So inside the DNA, the chromosomes are present, and inside the chromosome, that is genes are present, which are the genetic material of organisms. So the invention of the microscope and its improvements leading to the electron microscope revealed the structural details of the cell. So after that, the electron microscope was discovered. This is a compound microscope, okay? So after that, the electron microscope came up and it revealed the complete structure of the cell. So with the help of this microscope, also compound microscope, we can look into the outer part of the cells. Clear? So this is all about it. Yeah. So see, this is the basic difference between the asexual reproduction and the sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction, where it will take place? In case of the unicellular organisms. So only one parent is involved, right? So only one parent is involved, and here both the parents are involved. So when one parent is involved, there is no fusion of gametes, right? So there is no fusion of gametes, where in case of this, there is fusion of gamete is taking place in sexual reproduction. Only one chromosome, right? And they have what? They have more than one chromosome. Like in case of human beings, we have 46 chromosomes, right? That is 23 pairs, isn't it? So unicellular organisms, they show the sexual reproduction, whereas the multicellular organisms, they show what? They show the sexual reproduction. So cell division, how the cell divides? The cell need to divide, right? So how the cell divides? Following the mitosis. The cell divides by following mitosis, whereas by meiosis is followed by mitosis in case of the sexual reproduction. We will study about mitosis and meiosis in the next chapter, okay? And the offsprings are identical to their parents. So the offsprings are identical. That means in case of the amoeba, they are exact copy of each other, right? So we can also tell them as clones, okay? They are the clones of each other, right? We do not look exactly to our parents, right? We are not similar exactly, but they are the copies of each other. So they are morphologically and genetically identical to their parents. So they are the clones, okay? The asexual, that is the unicellular organisms, that is in asexual reproduction, they are the clones of each other, whereas the offsprings are not identical to their parents. So here the offsprings are not identical to their parents. So next, let us move into the next topic, that is the cell theory. So till now you have seen that who has discovered the cell, right? Where you have learned about that how the cell was discovered and who has discovered the cell. Now let us move into the cell theory. Now who has proposed the cell theory? So there were two scientists. One was botanist, okay? One was botanist. So he was studying with the Yes, one was botanist. Now, what do you mean by this, what is called the study of cell? The study of cell is known as cytology. Okay, remember this. What is this cytology? Cytology is nothing but the study of cells. Okay, study of cell is called as cytology. So, what is this botanist? Botanist means what? Those who study with the plants. Okay, so they are called as botanist. One was botanist and another scientist was there. He was zoologist. Now, who is the zoologist? That means who are studying with the animals. Okay, who are dealing with the animals. So they are botanist and zoologist. So in 1838, Matthias Schlechten, a German botanist, examined a large number of plant cells. So he was dealing with the plant cells. Okay, he was a German botanist, Schlechten. So he was dealing with the plant cells and he has observed that all the plants are composed of different kinds of cells which form the tissues of the plants. So basically you know that cells are leading to the formation of tissues, right? So how the tissues are being formed? That means a group of cells which are performing a specific function. We call it as a tissue, isn't it? So from the cell only the tissue is being formed. So he has observed that different plant cells, they have got different function, okay, and which leads to the formation of the plant tissues. So he was a German botanist. His name is Matthias Schlechten. And another scientist, when he observed in the year 1838, another scientist, he was zoologist. That is, he also observed that the animal cells lead to the formation of what? Lead to the formation of animal tissues. So he is known as such one. Okay, so Schlechten and such one. So when he observed in the year 1839. All right. So he has observed in case of what? He has observed in case of animals. All the animal cells leads to the formation of the animal tissues, and he has observed in case of the plants. Okay. So now what they come up with a theory. Okay. He also concluded that based on the studies of the plant tissues, that there is a presence of cell wall. So he said that in case of plant, so they are covered with a outer membrane, okay, that is known as cell wall. So in case of plants, they have got cell wall. All right, so plant cell has cell wall in them. Okay, so plants have cell wall, and which is the character of the plant cells. So on the basis of this, such one proposed a hypothesis that the bodies of animals and plants are composed of cells and the product of cells. So on the basis of that, they proposed a hypothesis that all the living organisms are made up of what? Made up of cell and its components. So Schlechten and Schlechten together, they come up with a theory, and that theory is known as the cell theory. Okay, so based on the studies, based on their discoveries, they come up with a theory and they propose the cell theory in the year 1839. Clear? So that is known as what? That is known as cell theory. Who has proposed it? It was proposed by Schlechten and Schlechten. Okay. So another scientist was there. Okay, Rudolf Virchow in the year 1855. He was the first to explain that the cells divide and new cells are formed from the pre-existing cells. So the scientist, that is who has given the cell theory, they could not explain about that how the cells divide or why the cells divide. So you know that a single cell, okay, from this cell, the cell will be dividing into the two cells, right? And from that two cells, again the four cells will be formed, isn't it? So this is how the cell division takes place following the mitosis and meiosis, right? Mitosis and meiosis. So, who has explained this cell division? The cell division was explained by Rudolf Virchow. Okay, he was the scientist who has explained the cell division. So, he said that the cells arise from the pre-existing cells only. So what do you mean by that? That is the human being, right? We all develop from the embryo, isn't it? From our parents only. So when the reproductive cells, they fuse together, it leads to the formation of zygote or not, right? So it leads to the formation of zygote. So the fusion of the male and the female gamete, it leads to the formation of zygote. Now that zygote will further divide, right? And it will form the embryo. Is that clear? So the embryo, again in the embryo, the cells multiply, the cells divide. So we are existing because of the pre-existing cells only. So he has given a term that is known as omnicellular e-cellular. This is very, very important. Okay, you should remember this term, that is omnicellular e-cellular. Who has given? That is Rudolf Virchow. So what he talked about? He talked about that the cells arise from the pre-existing cells, and the cells, they undergo division, that is cell division takes place. So he modified the hypothesis of the Sledgington as such when given to the cell theory a final shape. Okay, so he is the scientist who has modified the cell theory. Next, what happens? So let's see, what does this cell theory states? This cell theory states that all living organisms are made up of cell and the products of cell. And also you know that cell is the basic structural and the functional unit of life, and cell arises from the pre-existing cell, that is omnicellular e-cellular. This is very, very important. Okay, so this is very, very important, cell theory. So questions might come from here for 2 marks. So state cell theory. So these are the 3 important points, you should remember it. So all cells, that is all living organisms, are made up of cell and its products, and cell is the basic what? Structural and functional unit of life, and all cells arise from the pre-existing cell. So this is the cell theory. So try to remember it. Now let us see into the types of cells. Okay, so what are the different types of cells? There are 2 types of cells. One is prokaryotic cell, and another one is eukaryotic cell. Okay, eukaryotic cell. Now this prokaryotic, what do you mean by this pro? Pro means what? Pro means primitive. Okay, pro means primitive. And what do you mean by karyotic or karyon? Karyon means what? Karyon means nucleus. Alright, so they have got primitive nucleus. So prokaryotic cells are the cells which are the old ones. Okay, the bacteria, which is the smallest one and the oldest cell. So prokaryotic cells, they lack the nuclear membrane. They do not have nuclear membrane. They have poorly developed nucleus. And also all the cell organelles are absent. Most of the cell organelles are absent, like mitochondria, right? Golgi apparatus, then endoplasmic reticulum. You will not find in case of the prokaryotic cell. And prokaryotic cell includes what? Bacteria, cyanobacteria. Okay, so all these are the prokaryotic cell. Now how does it look like? So like this, let's say this is the structure of bacteria. It has a flagella. Okay, they have flagella in case of the bacteria. So now the DNA is something like that. You have seen wool, right? So when you open that wool, how it will be? It is very difficult to arrange, right? So in case of them, they also have DNA as the genetic material. Okay, but this DNA is in the form of a circle. That is, they have got circular DNA. and the circular DNA is very long. All right, so the circular DNA is very long. So in the body, inside the cell, they do not have most of the cell organelles. They have only the ribosomes. You will find only the ribosomes. Okay, so ribosomes are present. And they also have one more thing, that is you will find the inclusion bodies. Okay, you will find the inclusion bodies. So you will not find the cell organelles here, only the ribosome you will find it. Okay, so in case of bacterial cell, they have a flagella which helps them in the movement. But in case of eukaryotic cell, that is plant cell, animal cell, all the cell organelles are present. They have a well-developed nucleus. Okay, this is what? This is the nucleus. They have a well-developed nucleus. Then they also have the mitochondria. They also have mitochondria. Then what does they have? They also have what? They also have the endoplasmic reticulum. They also have endoplasmic reticulum. All right. So then they have the Golgi bodies. They have the Golgi bodies. Then they have the ribosomes. They have the ribosomes. So they have ribosomes too. So they also have lysosome. They also have lysosome, like this structure you will find. These are also known as suicidal bags. They also have lysosomes. So they have all the cell organelles present in them. Okay. So in case of eukaryotic cell are the well developed or the new nucleus they have. Okay, they are the new cells, you can say. So the eukaryotic cell means who is coming under the eukaryotes? That is the plants and the animals. Okay, human beings. So we human beings, we come under the eukaryotic cell. So this is about it. So see, now let us talk about the shapes of the cell. So as you can see in this picture, the various shape of the cell, right? So in our body we have got different cells, and this cells has got different shapes. So talking about the shape of the cell, in case of bacteria also, bacterial cells, they have got different shapes. We'll learn it in detail in the prokaryotic cell in the next class. So see, the cell shape. What are the different shape of cells? You can see the shape of the cell, it will vary from one organism to another. So in case of the Wbc cell, it is generally disc shape. Okay, it is disc shape, that is the Wbc. See, Wbc cells. So Wbc cells, they are not having nucleus. Okay, so you will not find nucleus in the Wbc cells. They do not have the nucleus. Now in case of this Wbc cells, the Wbc cells are generally the shapeless. Okay, they do not have any proper shape. They are generally shapeless. Why they are shapeless? Because they need to reach to the infection site. Okay, Wbc cells like your lymphocytes. Okay, the B cells and the T cells, isn't it? So these are your immune cells. So they fight against the antigen in our body. They are generally shapeless, like neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils. All these are the Wbc cells. Now talking about the next type of cell, that is the epithelial cell, which you have already studied in the animal tissue, right? So there are different types of epithelial cells. You have seen that some of the epithelial cells are columnar in shape, right? Some are cuboidal in shape, like this. You have seen, right? So some are cuboidal in shape. Again, you have seen that there are two types of epithelial cells, that is a simple epithelial and the compound epithelial, right? So this is about it. Now see nerve cells. So we have already discussed about the nerve cell, right? How it looks like. So it looks like this. These are what? These are the dendrites, right? So this is what? This is the axon, and these are again the dendrites, right? So dendrites. So this is the axon, right? This is the axon. So look into this picture. You can clearly see how the nerve cell looks like. So they are branched and long, and it is the what? It is the longest cell, isn't it? It is the largest cell in the body. So it is the largest or the longest, okay? It is the longest cell. So next, see, this is the plant cell, that is the trachea, okay, which we find in case of the xylem. And this is the mesophyll cell, which we find in case of the leaves. All right. So these are the various types of cells of the animal and the plant cells. Now talking about the volume of the cell, the volume and the size of the cell also varies from one organism to another. So you will see that some of the cells are very small. In case of the bacteria, that is mycoplasma, it is the smallest cell, okay? It is the smallest cell. Whereas some cells, like in case of the ostrich egg, okay, it is the largest cell, okay? So see, shape and the size of the cell. Now let us study the shape. Some of the cells, you have seen that some cells may be disc shape, okay, that is the RBC cell. Some may be polygonal, some may be columnar, cuboid, some may be elongated, thread-like, or even some may be irregular. The size and the shape of the cell, it varies from organism to another, and the shape of the cell may vary, as I have already said that it will vary and perform the different functions. So see, this is the difference between the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes, where you can see clearly that they are the primitive cell, right? Prokaryotes are the primitive cell and they are the advanced cell, right? And whereas prokaryotes are unicellular, they are multicellular, isn't it? The nucleus is poorly developed and the nucleus is well defined or developed, and the nucleolus is absent, whereas in case of the eukaryotes, they have got a nucleolus, that is, it is present, right? Cell organelles are present, cell organelles are absent. Examples of prokaryotes are what? Examples of prokaryotes are bacteria, cyanobacteria or blue green algae, and the eukaryotes are plant, animals, human beings. Is that clear? So this is the difference which you can note it down, right? Yes. Next, let us move into the plant cell, okay? So as you can see in this picture, this is the picture from your textbook. So this is a plant cell. In case of plant cell, what you will find, the first difference is that the plant cell, they will be larger in size, okay? They will be larger in size. Then second is they have got cell wall. Then in the plant cell, you will find the plasmodesmata. Now what is this plasmodesmata? What it does, it connects the cell to cell, or it is forming the cell junction, okay? Now again you will find the plastid and the vacuole. Vacuole is large in case of the plant cell. All right. So as you can see in the picture clearly, this yellow portion, what you can see, this is nothing but the vacuole. Okay. Vacuole is responsible for storage. All right, for storage of food. Now next you can see that nucleus, right? Nucleus is not at the center. So this is the nucleus. This portion is the nucleus, which is not exactly at the center. And these are the various cell organelles you can see, like the Golgi apparatus, then this is the mitochondria, and then you will find various microtubules, and this green color, what you can see, this one is nothing but the plasmodesmata. Okay, it is forming the junction, that is, it connects from connects one cell to another. All right, and what they have a cell wall. Okay, they have a cell wall. So cell wall, what it does, it provides protection and support. It provides turgidity to the plant cell. All right, so after the cell wall, what they have, the next layer after the cell wall will be the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. So it is generally larger. The plant cell is larger. Now let's talk into the talk about the animal cell. So now look into the animal cell. What do you find in the animal cell? It is larger or smaller? Yes, it is smaller, okay, in compared to the plant cell. All right, so in case of them, what we'll see, no plasmodesmata, right? So they do not have plasmodesmata. Then you will not find chloroplast, right? Chloroplast is present only in case of the plant cell. All right, then vacuole. Vacuole, how it is? It will be small. Okay, the vacuole is small. Then what you will see? There is cell wall? No, there will be no cell wall. No cell wall. All right. So this is the basic difference between the plant cell and the animal cell. So look into the picture. This is a picture of the animal cell where you will not find the cell wall. Okay, you cannot find the cell wall, and you can see the nucleus. This one is the nucleus. The nucleus is covered with the help of the nuclear membrane. Okay. So the nucleus is at the center. The nucleus lies where? The nucleus lies at the center. Nucleus is at the center. And yeah, you will find various cell organelles. These are the all cell organelles you will find inside the animal cell too. But you will not find this chloroplast or the plastid. And the plasmodesmata is absent. So you can note down the plant cell and the animal cell difference, which is given here clearly, that you can see that they are larger, they are smaller, plasmodesmata present, plasmodesmata absent. Right. Then large vacuole, small vacuole, chloroplast present, chloroplast absent, and yes, they store the food in the form of starch. Remember this. The plant cells, they store the food in the form of starch, and they store the food in the form of glycogen. Animals store the food in the form of glycogen in the liver and the muscle cells, and the nucleus is present along the periphery, and the nucleus is present where? In the center of the cell. Right, and also the tonoplast is present around the vacuole, and here the tonoplast is absent. So this is a basic difference between what? Between the plant cell and the animal cell. Is that clear? Yes. So by this we are done with today's session, where we have learned about the overview of the cell, right? And you have learned about the discovery of cell, then what are the various cell organelles, and also we have learned about the plant cell, animal cell, and the prokaryotes and the eukaryotic cell, right? So I hope you have understood each and every topic of today's session. So if you like this session, do like it, and also share it with your friends so that they get benefit out of it. And I will meet you in my next class, where we will be learning about the prokaryotic cells in detail. So till then, be connected with Vista's learning and keep learning. Thank you.